Hi, Anti Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out Mushi-shi episode 19, String from the Sky. I'm really intrigued about where we're going to be going, not only because this is a very kind of episodic series, there's definitely like some crossover, but the last episode was very much this kind of single one character focus that wasn't even like Ginko, right? It wasn't even really like Mushi in general in terms of the storytelling. I really loved it. Just focusing in on an artist is something that personally I find very intriguing, but it does make me wonder where we're going to be going, especially as we get closer and closer to the end of this season. I'm not entirely sure what the vibe is going to be because it's not like we're building up to something specific in this story other than just some of the mystery that we have about like Ginko and his kind of struggles with being this wanderer when what he really wants is something that's more an actual like place that he belongs. So I'm not really sure what we're getting. In 3, 2, 1, go. I don't think we even got the opener in the last episode, right? We got credits over backstory things going on. I am very intrigued to know about how this season is going to end. Like, it could just end, right? Like, we could just have, I don't know, like an interesting story with Mushi. Like, maybe something surprises Ginko or we learn something about him. Kind of like we had the flashback episode. Maybe even focus on, like, his, like, doctor friend, the one with, like, the monocle or whatever. You know, something that's gonna be like set up that we've had of characters who have shown up more than once, right? And just sort of focus in on them as opposed to something that feels climactic, right? I'm not sure. Revisit a story, maybe? Go back? He doesn't really go back to see places he's already been or characters outside of like single episodes, right? As opposed to like, again, like a couple of people that we've gotten to see more than once, or at least we know that he's seen more than once. Maybe something from his past popping up? I don't know. Very gray start. Smooth. Smooth, my guy. Interesting setup of that shot. And I'm assuming that's the string in question? Which I'm assuming is Mushi. Everything's Mushi until proven otherwise. Oh, that seems like a bad idea. Look, I say that as someone who, like, I would definitely not just grab some string hanging from the sky, but I know many people in my life who would. Like, if you tell my brother not to touch something, he's already in the process of, like, trying to take it all apart and figure out how it works. Stars, well, stars don't blink on and off. I like that this guy likes stars, though. Is someone who's like, is someone who loves space, but didn't, it wasn't that the guy that already knew Uh, yeah, did she disappear the moment that she, like, touched the string? Whoa. That'd be crazy though, to see like someone right in front of you and then they reach up into something that they can see and just like disappear out of existence from your perspective. I'm assuming there's something to do with the realm of Mushi. Look who conveniently wanders into town. I would also be like, why is there just a person very high up in a tree? Barefoot? So interesting to have like the haziness too. I was like, oh, it's a very like gray landscape, right? Which makes me feel like it's either like, we're getting into like winter or whatever, like not quite getting to when it's snowy or whatever, but also because of the haze, it kind of makes that strange in between of like, is she is she Mushi of some like some crossover or what, right? Like she has like this faint glow to her now, right? But like with the haze, you can't quite tell. Of like you've become extremely ambiguous is a wild way to describe it, but also accurate. Uh-huh. He's so like, I'm not even bothered. I'm like, you care though. I've seen the way that he panics when people are like in danger. So I'm not a cook. Or maybe it's a way to like kind of tether her. Something to kind of anchor her. Right? If she's like with with people, it'll kind of tether her to like the fact that she's a human. Uh-oh. It's never go when the light goes out. Especially for someone who's like very close to that. Mm-hmm. Interesting that he says that and we're on the side of his like different eye, right? That's cool to have the like bottom up perspective. That's so cool to be like the parallel with like the stars and then the flow of like where Mushi are. Like between those two kind of states of being, right? Yeah, the parallel. almost like a mirror, and like being like, be careful you don't look at the wrong one, right? Again, with like the duality with Ginko too, right? The two eyes, the kind of like 1 foot in this world, 1 foot with Mushi, right? Like he's also kind of in this ambiguous place because of his past, right? Do we get our memory back? Especially with like the stars, because we had the guy that she was like the family she was working for was also interested in stars. It would be kind of crazy if she just like came out of the woods. Mm-hmm. They already thought she was strange, right? Oh, he's probably gone. Oh, no, he's still around. I'm like, sometimes he's like, I'm done now. I gotta go figure some other stuff out. At least he has someone who can be like, verify the fact that she was wandering around in the mountains. Ooh, we're just going for it now. Before we were bumbling, talking around in circles, and now he's like, I mean, I thought you were gone forever. Wild way to try and ask for like permission though after all of that to be like, you know that the woman who was in charge of taking care of your child and then just like disappeared and randomly came back? I'd like to marry her. Probably the only one who will. Whoa, that's wild. I thought she just disappeared. But she like got pulled into the sky by something. That explains why she was barefoot. That would be even scarier. I love the getting to see some of what like Ginko sees, right? Like the swirling of mushi and everything. Especially like again on his like left side, right? Is where we see all of that happening. And then when he looks back, when we're on the right side of him again, he's kind of like tethered in this world, right? I feel like that's the ominous way for us to end that off. Okay, so it's all coming together. It's like, oh, we're on this like some of the like life vein is like there, and that's like part of why this particular Mushi is here. Yeah, I was also thinking like a fishing line. There's also aquatic imagery with Mushi anyway, but and she didn't. Oh, that's why she was up in the tree. Broke her fall. I'm assuming, yeah, you don't come back normal. Okay. So we got a fiance. That's something. I don't know, I'm just thinking of the other story we had the girl who like fell off the bridge and everything. You know what I mean? Like you've had stories where it's like this person cares for that's like if you just cross the bridge it would be fine and she was like, "No, I'm going to turn back," and it all went terrible. We're going to go to the wedding. I feel like he's going to come back just because he's curious if it's going to work, right? If she's going to be okay. Oh. Uh-oh. At least there are multiple people around to be like, that was a thing that actually happened. Yeah, if it wasn't enough to keep her here, right? Yeah, like she wasn't being tethered down. Oh, that would be so terrible though. Like you'd have to be literally like tied down. Uh-oh. I mean, he did say like you have to stop being like this or I can't get a blessing, right? Oh, poor thing. But does she like not remember again? Yeah, you have to stop being like she needs to be different so I can get approval from someone else so that like then I can accept it, right? He still wants approval from his father, and I was thinking, I'm like, just do it anyway, just get married. I know that that would also be like leaving behind family or whatever. I know there are consequences to that, but like, Maybe I'm too stubborn that I'm like, but I've decided I'm gonna do something. No one else is gonna get in my way. Even when you can't see them? Parallels? Mm-hmm. With her hand too, like where we have the like string tethering her. Yay! I was like, do it anyway. Yeah, people are probably like, that's crazy. But you know what? Do it anyway. But she was. It's cute though. Like not only that he's like still talking to her and like doing all this, but it's also like he's making himself seen the same way that she is, right? Like he's deciding to be seen the same way as her, regardless of what anyone else thinks, because she's more important. Aww. So it's almost like he could start to see her, but no one else could. And then as everyone else started to accept her, she didn't disappear anymore. That's so cute. Aww. I love the way that all came together. Like, part of the reason that Ginko could see her was because he's got some ability to see Mushi anyway, and like things that are related to Mushi, but also because he was the first one to be accepting of the fact that that was just like the state that she was in, right? Like he wasn't going to question whether or not that was possible and have it his logic get in the way, because he's, oh yeah, of course people interact with Mushi, it affects the way that they interact with the world, there are certain things that average people can't see. Like he's willing to accept all of that so he could see her, and then having her fiance and eventual husband just being like, all right, I'm just gonna act like you're here, and then eventually could see her, and then he did that long enough that other people were like, oh, obviously he has a wife, right? Like obviously there's two people living here, to the point where they ended up just being able to see her, right? Because that was part of just like accepting her for who she was. And I love that as like kind of the mystical kind of mushy supernatural way of looking at it for like the world building, but also the symbolism of that, of being like, sometimes you need to just accept someone as they are, right? Like you're making them into something else, you're pushing them into the background, you're making them be almost like shadows of themselves if you're trying to force them into a box and like trying to force them to be something that they aren't. And then the moment that you accept someone to be who they truly are is when you can like truly see them, right? Like like symbolically. You can actually see the nuances of who they are as a person, because you're not simplifying them down into this person is strange or weird or unsettling or whatever, right? You're not simplifying them down into these characteristics that you think are undesirable. And instead, once you've accepted them, it's just like being a little bit different from the way that you are, the way that you would do things, is when you can start to see the person underneath those like traits that you find off kilter, right? So I think that symbolism of that is so interesting. And I love even like the parallels with Ginko talking about this stream that we've seen before with like Mushi that's under the ground or like unseen by normal people, and having the parallel with like stars in the sky and us as people like on the earth kind of being stuck in between those two things, and saying make sure that you're not spending too much time like looking Mushi or like these other places and getting pulled in these other directions, right? Instead, focusing on what kind of keeps you here grounded on the earth and with people, right? Even like saying, oh, we need to get you back to your village, so that'll help ground you. That'll help you have this thing that kind of keeps you tethered to where you are. And I think that's such a beautiful message and narrative way of talking about that kind of topic. I think that it's such a beautiful depiction of all of that I just strangely am in a good mood after that one. Sometimes Mushi-shi gets me in my feelings and my existential dread, but this one makes me, I don't know, I think it's such a cute story. And I loved the way that we had all these kind of gorgeous parallels with again like the duality, and so how some of that kind of relates to who Ginko is as a character, of again having one foot in one world and one foot in the other, and how he helps navigate people through being in these different states and all of that. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to miss next time I post a Mushi-shi reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.